With President Trump deploying members of the National Guard to Los Angeles, local and national authorities are asking exactly what the role of those guardsmen will be. According to a presidential memo, they will, quote, temporarily protect ICE and other U.S. government personnel who are performing federal functions, including the enforcement of federal law and to protect federal property at locations where protests against these functions are occurring or likely to occur. The memo does go on to say that their deployment will last for 60 days, but the question remains, what exactly will they be doing on the ground? Here to help explain all this is CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Sganga. Nicole, thank you very much for joining us here. What is actually legal and not legal about the role of these guardsmen?
Yeah, Nancy, it's good to be with you. And before we dive in, we should point out why this is so important, which is that for as long as we've had a constitution in the United States, there's been something called a civil military boundary. And only on 30 occasions in our nation's history have we seen a federalized National Guard, which means that these members are essentially treated like members of the U.S. Army, which is why these bright red lines are important. So what's legal, what's not legal? Well, playing a support role is legal. That means military personnel, National Guardsmen can provide logistical support, intelligence analysis, technical assistance. So think, monitoring camera feeds or sensors, moving supplies, offering intelligence analysis to law enforcement officers. Also, they can secure a perimeter, say, of a federal facility like the one we've been watching downtown in live shots all day, or operations. In terms of ICE operations, they can secure an ICE operation. They just can't kick in the door, right? Now, what law enforcement, or what National Guardsmen can't do, but law enforcement can do, is conduct arrests, searches, seizures, interrogations of civilians. Use of force is really restricted to just self-defense or the defense of others. We know that the Marines who have been sent to Los Angeles are not even carrying live ammunition. And in fact, the National Guard, they are armed, but their bullets are not loaded in the chambers of their weapons right now.
So what would then be a red flag of them overstepping their bounds, legally speaking?
Yeah, and we should point out, we have not yet seen any of these red flags, but in a know your rights fashion, it is important to, keep these in mind. So military personnel placing individuals in handcuffs, that would be a red flag, ordering them to the ground, transporting them in military vehicles. And by the way, this goes for both, protesters that we've seen in the streets, rioters, or also, unauthorized migrants. National Guard entering homes, workplaces, or encampments alongside ICE or CBP, federal law enforcement, to search for undocumented immigrants. That would be extremely bizarre and illegal. Military personnel using batons, tear gas, firearms, or physical force against civilians without an imminent threat to life. We should point out that National Guard, they do receive extensive police training. Of course, there is concern about federalizing these members of the National Guard because, again, when you do, they become essentially members of the U.S. Army. We also know this costs a lot of money. The Pentagon has said, this will cost $134 million to keep these Marines and these Guardsmen there through August 8th, which is what the president's memo does. We're 5 days in, and we know that ICE has arrested at least 330 unauthorized migrants so far. But many questions about the cost-benefit analysis here, Nancy.
Well, we appreciate your insight and your explanation of all that. Nicole Sganga, very good to see you.
Thank you.